Once hailed as Europe's industrial engine, Germany powered the continent through crisis after crisis, from the post-WWII rebuild to reunification and the 2008 global crash. But today, something's broken. Factories are quiet, exports are shrinking, investment is fleeing, and the very model that once made Germany unstoppable is falling apart. In 2025, Germany, the largest economy in the EU, is forecasted to grow just 0.7%, the slowest in the bloc. Since 2017, its economy has crawled forward by only 1.6%. For comparison, the EU average is 9.5% over the same period. What happened? Let's rewind. Post-World War II, Germany rebuilt faster than any nation in modern history. The Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle, was fueled by cheap energy, technical excellence, and an export-heavy industrial base. Mercedes, Siemens, Bosch, Volkswagen. Germany didn't just make things, it engineered perfection. By the early 2000s, Germany had become Europe's workshop. Over 45% of its GDP came from exports, one of the highest ratios in the developed world. But this model had a silent dependency: Russian energy. Cheap natural gas from Russia allowed German factories to run longer, cheaper and more efficiently than their global competitors. Until 2022. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Germany cut off Russian pipeline gas. A move hailed as moral, but economically, it was a gut punch. In a single year, industrial energy prices tripled, manufacturing output plummeted, and by 2024, Germany's industrial output had fallen to 90% of its 2015 levels. To understand the scale, consider this. Poland's industrial output grew to 152% over the same period. Key German manufacturers, including BASF and Volkswagen, began relocating production to countries with cheaper energy and lighter regulations. Hungary, Mexico, even the US. The industrial exodus had begun. Now layer in another ticking clock: demographics. Germany's population is aging faster than most of Europe. By 2035, more than one-third of its population will be over 60. That means more retirees than workers, a shrinking labor force, and a productivity crisis. While unemployment remains low, at 5%, layoffs and restructuring are rising, especially in energy-intensive sectors. Automation is helping, but it's not a magic bullet. Unlike the early 2000s, Germany today can't devalue its currency. It's tied to the euro. And wage cuts? Politically toxic. So if you can't cut wages or boost productivity, you invest, right? Well, not in Germany. In 2024, public investment in infrastructure and modernization was just 2.8% of GDP. That's well below the EU average. Poland and Sweden invest over 5%. Why? Because Germany is spending elsewhere. By the end of 2024, Berlin had allocated $37.2 billion, $34 billion in bilateral support to Ukraine, military, humanitarian, and reconstruction aid. That's more than it spent on modernizing its own energy systems or digital infrastructure. Noble, perhaps. Strategic? Questionable. As Germany bankrolls a proxy war, its own industries are falling behind. One sector illustrates this better than any: automobiles. Between 2017 and 2023, Germany's car production fell by over 25%. Meanwhile, China launched its Made in China 2025 strategy, aiming to dominate electric vehicles. Brands like BYD, XPeng and NEO are now entering Europe with EVs that are cheaper, more innovative, and more scalable than those made in Germany. Even Germans are buying Chinese. Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes, once symbols of elite craftsmanship, are scrambling to keep up. But they're slowed down by regulation, high labor costs, and a sluggish innovation cycle. And there's more pressure coming. US tariffs on German car exports are looming. If passed, they could decimate what's left of Germany's flagship industry. Why does this matter beyond Berlin? Because Germany is the backbone of the European Union. Its GDP makes up around 25% of the EU economy. Smaller countries like Slovakia, Portugal and the Baltic states rely on German trade, technology and investment. A weak Germany means less capital for EU projects, slower innovation across borders, greater north-south economic divide. Already the cracks are visible. Countries like Poland, Hungary and the Czech Republic are becoming new hubs for manufacturing and tech investment. Even Spain, long considered the periphery, is now outpacing Germany in innovation and attracting foreign capital. The balance of economic power inside Europe is shifting. So why isn't Germany doing more to fix this? The answer lies in its regulatory culture and foreign policy distractions. Layers of bureaucracy have made energy reform painfully slow. Approval for wind farms can take up to 7 years. Grid modernization is underfunded. Nuclear energy, once a reliable fallback, was phased out in 2023, a decision still debated in policy circles. And foreign policy? Germany's alignment with US strategic interests, especially under pressure from Washington, has forced it into a geopolitical chess game it's economically ill-equipped to play. As Germany funds NATO goals and Ukraine aid, it's starving its domestic recovery. Is there a solution? Yes, but it requires bold, politically risky moves. Reform energy strategy, invest in renewables, yes, but also storage, grid resilience and transitional sources like LNG and small modular reactors. Rebuild industrial competitiveness. Offer incentives for companies that stay in Germany. Cut red tape. Modernize vocational training. Rethink spending priorities. Support allies, but not at the cost of internal collapse. Stimulate innovation. Faster permits for startups. Invest in AI, robotics and green tech manufacturing. This isn't about picking nationalism over internationalism. It's about economic survival. Because if Germany fails to act, its crisis could morph into a pan-European breakdown, one that fractures the single market, undermines the euro, and sets back the continent's global influence. In the end, this isn't just Germany's problem. It's Europe's. The engine is stalling, and unless the driver wakes up, the entire vehicle could veer off the road.